Hello guys, Croft is here. Today we'll be talking about why humans in Avatar are actually the good guys. James Cameron's Avatar franchise frames the entire human race as bad and doomed to extinction. So the whole Avatar story boils down to the technologically advanced sky people strip mining Pandora, while the indigenous Na'vi defend their spiritual world with bows, arrows, and moral purity. However, if we logically analyze all three films, Avatar, The Way of Water, and Fire and Ash, the story becomes the complete opposite. Humanity's motives, actions, and long-term narrative arc suggest that humans are actually the good guys. Or at the very least, they're not the villains the surface-level reading implies. They are a desperate species fighting extinction and violent Pandora's natives at the same time. So in this video, we'll explore the perspective that humans are the good guys in the story. James Cameron clearly wanted Avatar to be his version of Star Wars, a massive cultural myth for a new generation, but Avatar never truly stuck culturally. And the reason might be that at its core, the story portrays the entire human race as villains without any chance of redemption. And according to Sully, humans should just simply die out on their planet. So a story rooted in the absolute hatred toward humanity cannot fully resonate, because even at a biological level, people are wired for self-preservation, just like any living organism. Obviously, it's all a matter of perspective and it's an ongoing discussion, so leave your thoughts in the comments. But now, let's actually analyze all the evidence defending humans in Avatar. The real villain is extinction on a dying Earth. The most important context in Avatar is that Earth is dying. By 2154, the atmosphere is polluted, ecosystems are collapsing, species are going extinct. On top of that, humanity is starved of energy, billions face death. Therefore, Pandora is not an exploitative gold rush, but it's a lifeline. Adaptability offers the energy breakthrough Earth needs to survive. So humanity's mission is not greed, it's salvation. When the RDA returns in The Way of Water, this motive is even clearer. Earth is quickly becoming uninhabitable. Pandora is no longer a resource depot, it's an ark carrying humanity's last chance.
Earth is dying. Nothing less than to make Pandora the new home for humanity.
So from humanity's perspective, the Na'vi's refusal to negotiate is not spiritual resilience. It's blocking a species-level survival mission. Earth's population of billions depends on Pandora's resources. The moral stakes for humans are indefinitely larger than for the Na'vi. This idea alone reframes the entire conflict. Humans are fighting for an existential cause, complete extinction, while Na'vi are simply defending their territory, and one of these is morally heavier. On top of that, humans and Na'vi originate from completely different biological paradigms. The Na'vi live in a world where Awa actively provides balance, regulating ecosystems, sustaining life, and ensuring that the Na'vi exist in a near-perfect harmony with nature and animals. Humans, however, never had anything like that. On Earth, there is no guiding planetary intelligence making sure everything stays in equilibrium. There is only survival of the fittest. From the very beginning of human species, survival meant constant struggle against climate, against predators, and against scarcity itself. Humans cannot survive in most climates on Earth without clothing, shelter, or tools. And even in environments where survival is possible, predators and environmental threats are everywhere. This means that humanity evolved under a completely different biological and ecological paradigm than the Na'vi. Humans aren't innocent, greed is absolutely an issue. But long before greed, humanity relied on resources, technology, and expansion simply to survive. So unlike the Na'vi, humans had no Awa that would provide. They had to build, extract, and innovate, or die. But probably the most important point is that the Na'vi are not pure, they are extremely violent. Initially, the films romanticized the Na'vi, but the expanded lore and sequels like The Way of Water and Fire and Ash demonstrate a different reality. Many Na'vi clans are territorial and aggressive, and in the latest movie Fire and Ash, this fact is pushed to the extreme. Some Na'vi practice warfare frequently, some of them torture enemies, and the Ash people in Avatar 3 are openly hostile. The extended lore like the games and the comics make it very clear that the Na'vi are violent and aggressive, but it's also obvious even in the films. The Na'vi kill humans on sight, and Neytiri almost killed completely unarmed Jake as soon as she saw him. So the Na'vi often attack unarmed personnel, they fire arrows at scientists. They attempted to kill Spider multiple times. They also wage ritualized violence constantly and tame and mentally dominate animals for war. Humans, on the other hand, kill in structured military operations, not because they enjoy it, but oftentimes because they have to. So the Na'vi are not so innocent nature saints. They are actually brutal warriors raised in violent traditions. And there are many examples of Na'vi violence and extreme brutality. Even if we disregard completely unhinged Ash people who cut neural cues, basically taking scalps, other seemingly peaceful clans are just as violent. The attack on the home tree was only approved by Selfridge after Na'vi destroyed mining equipment and killed dozens of innocent human personnel. So purely from a tactical standpoint, Na'vi shoot first. And even then, Quaritch still used smoke grenades to minimize casualties. The entire battle for the Tree of Souls was only in response to Na'vi amassing a huge number of forces, which humans thought will be used against them. Then, in the Way of Water, Jake leads a 10-year guerrilla war to prevent humans from creating a colony on Pandora, dooming billions on Earth to die. In the opening scene, the Na'vi are actually the first to kill a human pilot. He probably would have attacked them, but the fact remains, the Na'vi strike first. Later in the film, after humans kill 2 Tulkuns, the entire Midkana tribe is immediately willing and even eager to go to war with the Sky People. They are perfectly willing to sink an entire ship and kill hundreds of humans in retaliation for 2 Tulkuns, which further proves their inherently violent nature. Jake manages to calm them down, but not for long. And the behavior of the Ash people in Avatar 3 is largely self-explanatory. They are not radicalized or manipulated by the Sky People. Their extreme violence and aggression emerges independently. When the Ash people reached the Midkana village, it was Quaritch who intervened and actually stopped Varang from burning and annihilating the entire clan. Humans probably realized early on that the Na'vi are violent, however, still, humans did attempt diplomacy first, but the Na'vi rejected it. Grace Augustine is the single biggest hint that humanity wasn't trying to destroy Pandora blindly. The Science Division first builds schools, teaches English, advocates for peace, and begs the RDA not to escalate. Even Selfridge allows diplomacy to proceed. However, what's the Na'vi response? It's refusal every time. They refuse relocation, they refuse compromise, they also refuse to negotiate even after learning about Earth's dying. So the Na'vi's position is absolute, home tree stands, and all humans must leave. So from a moral standpoint, humans did try a peaceful solution, but the Na'vi did not. The fourth point is that humanity shows moral complexity, the Na'vi do not. Humans in Avatar argue, debate, question their decisions, regret escalation. They also feel guilt about infringing onto Na'vi's territory, and they experience internal moral conflict. Characters like Grace, Norm, Trudy, Max, Dr. Garvin, and even Spider all demonstrate empathy, self-doubt, introspection, and ethical reasoning. Even Selfridge, the greedy capitalist, shows hesitation as Home Tree falls. But the Na'vi, in contrast, never question themselves. Their worldview is tribal, rigid, unquestioned, and morally absolute. Awa is good, outsiders are bad, and their customs are unquestionable. Humans display moral maturity, the capacity to evaluate right and wrong universally. The Na'vi, on the other hand, display cultural absolutism. Right and wrong are whatever their tribe says. So ironically, humans are the more ethical species. Another important point is that humanity is flexible and teachable, the Na'vi are not. Humanity's greatest strength in Avatar is adaptability, and the best example of it is Jake Sully. Jake, a human, learns the Na'vi language and culture, adopts their customs, integrates into their society, and even becomes Toruk Makto, a mythical figure from legends. Humans like Norm, Max, and Spider also assimilate successfully. However, the Na'vi do not reciprocate at all. They refuse to learn about humans. They refuse to accommodate any human needs. And they also expel all outsiders rather than coexist. Many even hate Jake's kids who are full Na'vi but inherited certain minor human traits like 4 fingers and different ears. On top of that, there are even instances of members of one clan mocking the members of the other for their different appearance. So in some sense, the Na'vi are actually kind of racist. So in overall, humans show cultural flexibility, the Na'vi show cultural rigidity. The 6th point is that Jake could be the ultimate villain. One of Colonel Quaritch's infamous lines is, "How does it feel to betray your own race?" And it's actually morally revealing. From Quaritch's viewpoint, Jake's defection is treason against billions of dying humans, and he's actually correct. Jake does sabotage humanity's salvation effort multiple times, and he basically makes it his life mission. From Earth's perspective, Jake is not a hero, he is the villain. In fact, Jake is the sole catalyst of the human-Na'vi war. In the Way of Water, the humans make it clear the war only continues because Jake Sully continues to exist. That's why Quaritch just needs to capture Jake Sully to end the war. And multiple times, characters state that if Jake Sully were surrendered or neutralized, hostilities would cease. Human and Na'vi coexistence would resume and the conflict would end peacefully. So Jake isn't just a soldier in a war, he is the war personified who turns his teenage kids into soldiers and they pay for it with their lives. In a funny and twisted way, Jake wants all humans to die on Earth so he can have Pandora all for himself and his alien wife. He's the man who doomed the entire human race. In the first movie, Jake's final narration that the humans went back to their dying world perfectly underscores this.
The aliens went back to their dying world.
He acknowledges Earth's suffering while abandoning it. In Avatar 3, Jake reaches a new low when he attempts to kill Spider. One of the film's major reveals is that Awa can use its mycelium network to upgrade humans. But rather than seeing this as a path toward coexistence, Jake reacts with outward hostility and nearly murders his own son, Spider, just to prevent humans from fully integrating into Pandora's ecosystem. But what makes this moment even more despicable is that Jake refuses to take any responsibility for his actions. Instead of owning the act, he asks Awa to guide his hand, which ultimately saves Spider but exposes Jake's moral cowardice. Then there is the human technology that reflects ethical intent, however, the Na'vi methods do not. Humanity uses robotics, precise weaponry, science-based decisions, targeted operations, and medical technology. However, the Na'vi warfare relies on poisoned arrows, ritual combat, mass animal casualties, and most shockingly, neural domination of other species. After all, the Na'vi literally hijack an animal's brain to make it fight and die. And it's not exactly living in harmony, that's biological coercion. But one of the most important points is that good humans save the Na'vi more than once. Grace trains them, Jake leads them even at the expense of its own race. Norm fights alongside them and Trudy dies to protect them. Max helps coordinate the rebellion and Earth rebels help smuggle data and support the Avatar program. So a species portrayed as purely villainous should not produce this many heroes. And Avatar 2 actually strengthens the human cause. In the Way of Water, humanity no longer seeks resources, it seeks survival. Bridgehead City is actually a lifeboat, not a military base. Dr. Garvin opposes talcum cruelty. Then Spider literally embodies coexistence as he's both Na'vi and human. Even Quaritch begins to rediscover his humanity. So in The Way of Water, this villain is written with even more moral nuance. In a weird way, humanity is being rehumanized. So even in a film where James Cameron clearly advances an anti-human message, a careful examination of events shows that humans consistently emerge as the good guys. Emotionally, however, Cameron manipulates the audience to view humanity not only as doomed but fundamentally irredeemable, a huge mistake that undermined the entire franchise. Cameron clearly had an intention to build Avatar into a sprawling franchise on the scale of Star Wars. But instead, he created a series that struggles to achieve any lasting cultural impact. Beyond its visual spectacle, Avatar fails to resonate deeply with audiences, precisely because Avatar's aggressively anti-human worldview is difficult to connect with, so the entire franchise is ultimately forgettable. Even though Avatar 3 already made $1.1 billion in the box office, it's still behind The Way of Water by about 25%. So if this gap remains the same, Avatar 3 will make just above $1.5 billion, and it's actually not clear if this amount of money is enough to produce Avatar 4 and 5. As Cameron said himself, if the total box office is not high enough, there won't be any sequels, which seems more and more likely. Cameron would have had a better narrative by having two distinct human factions, one driven by greed and exploitation, and another representing the more ethical side of humanity, working alongside and helping the Na'vi. Instead, he depicted the entire human race as a uniformly corrupt and irredeemable species that should just go extinct on its own planet. But what do you guys think? Did these arguments convince you that humans are the good guys? Or at least did it make you view humans in a completely different way? Obviously, it's all a matter of perspective, so leave your thoughts in the comments. Like this video if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to join the Patreon for extra support, and special thank you to those who already joined. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more content. My name is Croft, and I'll see you in the next video.